Ba-da-da-da-da-da. Dungeons and Dopamine. Da-da-da-da-da-da. No, I'm just kidding. It's us and Dungeons and Dopamine. I'm Jess.
And I'm Bree.
Hi. We forgot how to podcast last week.
And you could probably tell. But we're a little bit better this week.
I think so. I think this is gonna...
I mean, this first 19 seconds has gone really well.
Absolutely. I think this might be the
Look.
best. You just ruined everything. I was about to say I think this might be the best first 19 seconds of our entire show. And then you said, look.
I only made it better.
And now I quit. Not to be dramatic, but
I'm quitting. But I'm done.
I'm absolutely done. This is the moment that I broke everything and our friendship got ruined. I elbowed the table, guys. I have my headphones really low, so I can't tell if anybody heard that.
I didn't hear it.
Okay.
So, probably not.
Great. You have any dopamine lately?
Yes. Can I think of it? No. Because you put me on the spot.
Well, you know, what's your favorite movie? I've never watched a movie.
I don't even like movies. I've got these nerd gummy clusters I'm going to try to eat very quietly while you talk today.
I just want to let you know that wasn't quiet.
Got these nerd gummy clusters I'm going to chew on.
Guys, we're
Sorry,
thinking...
editor Jessica.
You had it coming. Guys, we're thinking of ASMR episodes.
Where we just eat into the microphone.
Basically, it's so that we can keep recording while we eat lunch.
Or snack through all of our topics, because some days you just need snacks.
I mean, I'm pretty much always eating Cheetos. Except today I had Doritos.
Changing things up a little bit.
Life is going to be different from now on.
I bought groceries today, finally. And I obviously haven't been eating much because I had all the migraine issues. Mm-hmm. And today was the first day I felt like I was craving food.
Ooh.
So it was a very expensive grocery day. But now I have all the snacks. So it's going to be a great weekend.
Did you order, like, food, or did you go snack wild?
It's like 90% snacks. But to be fair, we do one of the box meals that gets sent to your house every week.
Oh, yeah.
So that's 3 meals that I don't have to worry about. And then I just buy, like, easy to put together stuff or, like, pre-made lasagnas or whatever that you can get at Aldi. And snacks. All the snacks. Every snack.
I keep hoping that we'll be sponsored by, like, HelloFresh.
Ooh, that would be nice.
I don't even care if they pay us. They could just send us a couple meals.
Right.
That's Why We Drink is sponsored by HelloFresh. Or at least they were. I'm still way behind. But every time one of them says hello, the other one says fresh. So they'll be like, and I answered the phone and I said hello. And the other person will say, fresh.
So we just have to pick one and come up with a good line.
Yeah, we could do this. We got this.
The one we use is every plate. So every time I say every
plate. So how you doing, every plate? We have like 30 listeners.
34.
Right. Sorry. And this is like the downtime for podcasts.
Yeah, because people are not listening to podcasts. They're shopping. That's what I assume everybody's doing in November and December is shopping and cooking. Those are the only options.
And going to like every holiday function.
Oh my gosh. Have your invitations started rolling in? I mean, obviously Thanksgiving because we're fast approaching that.
Yes, we've got Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is always planned out, except this year, my grandpa is coming.
Oh, yay.
And that is really cool. Christmas, I mean, honestly, I'm easy because we keep things super chill. We've, like, if we don't want to go see certain people or certain family members, we just won't.
Oh, nice. You've already
Which-
set that boundary.
Yeah, which might make us buttholes. Just in case we need to use another curse word later on. But we can't bring ourselves to care.
I like it.
Thanks.
Also,
I can't come to your Christmas party.
you weren't invited. It's fine.
Dude.
Not that being a child of a broken marriage was bad for me. It was obviously, it worked out the way it was supposed to because I got Alice out of the deal. Mm-hmm. And even my mom will agree with that. But it does kind of complicate the holidays because now not only is it Zach's side of the family, but both sides of the family. And I get tired.
Yeah, I absolutely get that. Ryan is leaving a job. He'll be gone from it, I think, by the time this one airs.
Mm-hmm. Congratulations, Ryan. Yay!
Yay! And they used to host a Christmas party.
Oh, I didn't even think about all the work Christmas parties.
It sucked. Like, the company was riddled with nepotism, and they would, like, have these cliques, and if you didn't sit at the right table, you didn't have fun. I did have an amazing time one year because we sat at the right table, and we, like, made this great group, and we had a blast. Like, there were people around us who later confided in Ryan that they were jealous because we were having so much fun.
That does not surprise me.
I
just assume that's how all of your outings go.
Well, they normally do, but then the next year we looked for those people and they weren't there. So we sat with someone else that we knew, and it ended up being one of the nepotism tables.
Oh, yeah.
And just, yeah, it was bad. There's a lot of dirty, mean, rude comments running through my head, and I'm going to keep them to myself.
I appreciate that. Especially knowing who some of our listeners are. You might have to cut that whole part anyway.
Right? But anyway, so.
Yeah. So what brought you dopamine this week, Jessica?
So my topics brought me dopamine. I know last week I talked about Stubby.
We love Stubby.
I know.
He's
Stubby's,
basically my hero.
Yeah. One of my future topics has something named Stubby, but it's not nice.
That doesn't sound any fun. I vote no.
Too late. I already researched it. You have to hear about it.
You're only allowed to talk about happy things now, which ruins all of your topics.
Which is really ironic, isn't it?
Yeah. It's my favorite part of the podcast. Like, I'm the bubbly optimist one, or typically in like day-to-day life, probably. People would think so. And my topics end up ranting way more often than they should. And you're this happy, bubbly, naive, innocent, cute, adorable person, and you just talk about murders and hauntings and evil things.
Yeah.
So, on that note,
so talking about that,
you know who loves to
turn their phone volume off so
Yeah.
it doesn't make noise while they're recording?
Mm-hmm.
Wojtek.
Cheese, Jessica.
Cheese, Jessica.
Cheese.
I do have cheese. In fact, I'm sniffling.
Quit.
All right, let me tell you a story. A story about Wojtek.
I wish I could emote my face for that, because that is not what I was expecting to happen.
Yeah, your face said a lot. Your mouth didn't, but your face did.
We will have to switch this to a video podcast someday.
Yeah, absolutely.
Look.
Yeah, there are these moments where probably video would be best.
We'll have to wait until your upstairs is done.
Yeah.
So we're not sitting in
look like
this
we're
scary
recording
attic. With just a ring light for light.
Look, there's a lamp over there. I don't know if it's plugged in. There's a lamp. Nope, it's not. I mean,
We'll have to
there's a
take lots of
semblance.
pictures of this for our, like, look how far
Where
we've
we
come.
started. Yeah. Because we'll probably have like 37 people listening by the time we get over to the room.
Yeah. We'd be like, look, 2 viewers ago, all we had was this half-finished attic space. And this cheese and Cheetos. Nerd clusters.
Now look at us. We have the salami charcuterie Lunchables. All right, Wojtek.
Yes.
So, yeah. Wojtek was born in 1942 in Iran. He was purchased by Polish soldiers being evacuated from a Soviet captivity during World War II. So, Wojtek was a bear.
I love that.
So, a little boy found the cub. It's thought that the mother was probably killed by hunters. And at this time, because there was a lot of transportation through Iran of the soldiers, the Iranians would set up at the train station with their trinkets and their foods and anything they could sell to capitalize on that. Genius. Anyway, so actually this boy brought the bear to the train station, which, I mean, I guess in the 40s it was okay.
He probably just hid him under his jacket, like Stubby.
Like Stubby. Well, I mean, the bear cubs are pretty small, so I'm sure. But Wojtek caught the attention of a little girl. She was the great niece of one of the Polish officers. And that's where his new journey began. He was a brown bear. There's a kind of brown bear that he was. And it was brown. And it was not grizzly.
Kodiak? No.
No.
I don't think those are brown bears.
I don't remember. But he's a brown bear.
Okay.
There's something cool about it. You can look it up. It gives you a reason to look him up. He's adorable. So this little girl took him with her. And she raised him for about 3 months until he was turned over to a branch of the Polish artillery. I assume that at that point he had become too much for a little girl to handle. You know, too big, doesn't understand that he's a bear.
Loves her a lot, but, you know, bear hugs.
Yeah. So,
He's a Syrian brown bear.
thank you.
Just
That's
FYI.
what I said.
He is also very cute.
He's adorable. So, it was at this branch and at this point where he got his name. He had a hard time swallowing early on in his life. So they would feed him condensed milk from a vodka bottle.
As you do.
Exactly. And actually, Wojtek's life in the army was not that far off from a regular soldier. He ate very much the same as they did. He actually acquired a taste for beer and cigarettes and coffee. And
I mean, you gotta do what everybody else is doing in the 40s.
He wanted to fit in. Mm-hmm. He didn't know he was a bear. He would either smoke or eat the cigarettes.
Oh.
But he would actually smoke them. Like I don't know how he held them, but, you know, opposable thumbs and all that. But I guess he didn't need them.
I guess you don't need thumbs to hold
I guess so,
a
yeah.
cigarette.
Weird stuff. I don't know. Maybe they rolled them bigger because they were probably rolling them themselves.
Probably.
Back then.
And they obviously handled the lighting part.
I hope. It does not
Actually,
say that he
I
can handle
hope
fire.
that he lit his own cigarettes.
Little known fact, Wojtek is actually the great-great-great-grandfather of Smokey the Bear. That was an entire lie.
We've solved another case, you guys.
We're so good at this.
This is going to be breaking news in a few weeks.
I know. It's going to be everywhere. Mm-hmm. So, he would grow following kind of the same path as the soldiers. And as he grew, he would actually wrestle with the soldiers for fun. And occasionally, he would actually march with them on his hind legs because that's what they were doing. So
Right.
That's what he was doing. He was assigned a caretaker within the army.
That's
and,
good.
Yeah.
That is smart of them.
Yeah.
They weren't just like, soldier, get in line.
I mean, it worked apparently, though.
They're like disciplinary actioning a bear. Like, you weren't at the morning run this morning. Why is there honey all over your face? I don't know. I don't know what bears do.
Did you give me those cigarettes again, Wojtek? So he lived his life with this caretaker. He became, I mean, as he should, incredibly popular. He was popular with the soldiers. He was popular with the civilians of nearby villages and stuff who'd heard word about him. And he was just kind of an icon for his unit. His unit was the 3522. They called it the 2nd Artillery. And it was Polish under British command.
Okay.
Which makes sense for the war. He was on the right side.
That's good to know. I was worried with a name like Wojtek that he might have been on the wrong side of the war.
It is... Ryan could come up and give us a little Polish lesson. His name is spelled really strange. It's...
I noticed that.
Yeah. It's Wojtek. And I did look it up because I wanted to make sure I said it correctly. And it's Wojtek, which I'm sure there is much more of an accent that you're expected to say it with.
Oh, I'm sure, but
I'm
we're
doing
not
the best I can.
Polish.
People.
And you already have to try so hard.
English is obviously my first language.
I meant with your last name.
Me too. I just meant with words.
Just meant I have trouble with words sometimes.
Last week, we proved that I can't
the
speak
poem
words.
was pretty tough.
Wait a minute, I have to re-record that. That's so bad. So, his unit, the 22nd Artillery, was given orders to head to Italy. And because of that, they faced a really big problem. The Italian government would not allow animals or mascots to travel.
They obviously had not met Stubby in the previous
Right?
war.
I think he was in World War I, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You're just
Thank you for
moving
knowing
through
my
the
story.
wars.
I appreciate it. Shows you were listening.
I was.
I'm talking about a dog. Of course you were listening. So, they refused to leave Wojtek. And he was a bear. So, there was no way to hide him.
Right.
So, they enlisted him into the army with them as the rank of private. So, he was Private Wojtek. Now that he was official soldier, they couldn't stop him from traveling.
Loopholes, you guys.
Right?
So if the emotional support tag is not working for whatever animal you are trying to get to wherever, you just need to enlist them in the service. And then they can go anywhere.
I should have researched if Wojtek is the reason there are strict animal laws in the military.
Stubby and Wojtek ruined it for all.
So, he was a really unofficial soldier. He had a pay book, a rank, and a serial number. Which I love. He would actually live in the tents with the men he served with, or in a wooden crate that they created specifically for him. He would help by carrying 100-pound ammo crates that took usually like 4 men to carry. He could do it alone. And he would just do it because he saw them doing it.
Oh my gosh.
And then he would actually also straighten crates and shift and move and stuff because he saw the other soldiers doing it. Some people doubted the reality of this bear carrying this. But there's actually a reported British soldier a British soldier actually reported he saw a bear carrying an ammo case.
Now I want a bear.
Right?
To help me with my chores. Hey, bear. Move this outside.
But you have to give it cigarettes and beer and coffee.
I mean, fair.
The price you gotta pay.
Cigarettes are pretty expensive these days, but PBR is still cheap.
And Bear does not care. You could probably roll your own cigarettes and see.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be cheaper. Unless it's become like a boutique
Who
hipster
knows?
thing.
Probably not. I have no idea.
I don't know.
I am so glad to be removed from that world.
Amen. So, because he was so helpful, he earned the rank of corporal. He was promoted. They also created, the 22nd created an emblem for their crew, and it was a bear with an artillery shell. He traveled with the 22nd throughout their entire service. He went back to Scotland, apparently, with them. They were sent there to live kind of on a farmland. War is weird.
Right?
And he was awarded an honorary membership into the Polish-Scottish Association. So
Also today I learned there is a Polish-Scottish Association.
I've always known.
And bears can be members. Only corporal bears, though.
Obviously, they don't bother with private bears. There's the naivety. Hi, it's me. I'm the problem. It's me. When they were... My notes auto-corrected themselves. It's supposed to say demobilized. It says demoralized.
At some point, they were like, you know what? Screw you guys.
So when they were demobilized and sent home, he was sent to a zoo in Edinburgh, where he did live out his life. He was often visited by his soldiers, his fellow soldiers.
They'd better.
Who would throw him cigarettes. And of course, he was always being visited by press because he was a big deal. He responded really positively being spoken to in Polish. And of course, most of the time, he'd recognize his fellow soldiers when they came to visit.
I would cry.
I know,
I would cry
right?
my eyes out. If I was a zookeeper there, every time a soldier came in and connected with this bear, I would bawl my eyes out.
Right? So, he grew to be 5'11" and
Not that big.
1,100 pounds.
What?
You couldn't pick him up, but
5'11"?
I think every bear besides a
And
grizzly,
1,100
and a
pounds?
polar bear, are pretty small.
Really? I guess I didn't know that.
I wouldn't wrestle one still, but
Well, no, not at 1,100 pounds. That's an awful BMI.
you should let him know. Except, I'm sorry, so you can't, because obviously this was very long ago. He lived to be 21 years old and passed away in 1963. So there's actually a chance that people we know could have gone to see him.
Yeah.
I'm sure they didn't. I don't know anybody that went to Edinburgh in the 60s, but...
Yeah, me neither.
And he has left quite a legacy. There are statues of him everywhere, like all over the world.
That's
It's really
amazing.
cool. And that is the story of Wojtek. And now you know.
I don't think you've watched Brooklyn Nine-Nine at all.
No, you keep telling me to.
There's an ongoing storyline where a horse, somehow the horse does something heroic during the same case as this character named Boyle. And Boyle gets shot during this case as well. So they both receive medals. And Boyle is so excited to get his medal and be recognized for his heroic act of
Duty?
Yeah, I don't know.
Heroic thing?
Yeah, this heroic thing he did. He's so excited, and he gets up there, and the people, the press and everybody's so much more excited about this horse that's receiving a medal. And then later on in the show, he'll be complaining about something, and he's a detective, and he'll be like, and peanut butter, and they'll be like, well, he's actually Sergeant Peanut Butter now. And by the end, they're like, he's actually Lieutenant Peanut Butter now, which is a higher rank than what Boyle is. And so all I can think when you mention that these animals get these high honors in the service, I'm like, I wonder what the other soldiers feel. The guy that really worked hard to be a corporal, Is
Or
he
the guy that
mad?
has to, like, salute the bear.
Right. Or if his handler is not the same. Like, what if his handler is a lower designation than he is? Does he have to listen to the bear?
I think so. I think he
He's
does.
like, man, I was gonna come to this whatever I was supposed to be at today, but Wojtek told me no.
I couldn't clean the mess hall today. He wanted belly rubs.
And cigarettes. And beer. So we went to the bar.
And then he had to wrestle.
Because we didn't have any money. And now we're wanted. And the police are coming.
We should probably go.
And that's how he got dishonorably discharged from the service.
This is Wojtek's sordid past.
Our next podcast will be called Jessica and Brienne Rewrite History.
This is going to be amazing.
Yes.
Do you know who doesn't like cigarettes?
Kidney donations? Kidney donors.
Yes.
Organ donors.
Yes.
True story.
I was hoping you would, flow with that. Your
don't-
book originally had me real worried.
It's been one of those days.
It's always one of those
4 hours of sleep and my brain is like, puzzles. Cool. And then it's like, oh, puzzles require answers. I assume people that smoke cigarettes can donate organs, but I don't think people that smoke cigarettes can receive organs. I mean, maybe some organs. They're probably not super picky if you're like getting a little bit of a skin graft or blood transfusion or something, but I do know, like, if you need a liver transplant, you can't drink alcohol and you can't smoke cigarettes. Or obviously, like a lung transplant, they would not let you have that if you smoke cigarettes. And if they did, I would be mad. So, I'm going to talk specifically about kidney donation, but kind of about organ donation in general. The reason it focuses mostly around kidney donation is just because that's where all of my experience is, because I am a kidney donor of approximately 15 years, which sounds absolutely unbelievable because there's no way I am old enough to have donated a kidney 15 years ago because I was not of legal age 15 years ago. Also, I was 22 years old when I donated a kidney, and again, I will not say that I regret that, and I will not say that it should be a requirement that you have to be older to donate an organ, but looking back at 22-year-old me, I'm just really surprised they let that happen.
Yeah. Because you think you know what you're doing. You think you know you're making a good choice and an educated choice, but you haven't lived a lot.
Right. And I don't think it would have changed my decision because mine was such a gut decision and instantaneous. But I think I would have thought about it a little bit more if I was older, at least. Like if I was 30 or
with a child.
35. Yeah.
You never know. Like that changes everything. So
Yeah. So to donate an organ, you only have to be 18. You do not have to be 21 or 35 or any of those things.
this is a really random question. If you are a parent with 2 children and one of the children wants to donate to their, like, say, sibling, can you sign off on that?
I think, and I don't know this for certain, I think if they were older, like 16, 17, there might be some workarounds for like a sibling to sibling. And again, it would probably depend on the organ. But
Sure.
I even mentioned in my writing, there was a book a few years ago, and by that I mean it was probably about 15 years ago, by Jodi Picoult called My Sister's Keeper. And the whole premise of that book is that this teenager was basically conceived and born because they knew her older sibling would someday need organs.
What?
So they had a second child that they knew would probably be a good match, and this child grows up knowing that she is essentially there to give her parts to her sister.
Yeah.
And the whole premise is she's trying to get emancipated and get a lawyer so that she can't be forced to donate a kidney to her sister.
Did they make that a movie with Cameron Diaz?
I think so. I never watched it because I read it, and after I read it, I was so irritated at how awfully inaccurate it was and how ethically that could never, ever, ever, ever happen that I refused to watch the movie.
Yeah. Yeah, that
so
grosses me out.
Yeah. So let me tell you the real facts about organ donation.
I feel like after you said that, we needed a big dramatic, like, ba-bum,
bum, bum, bum. As of today, and you saw me look up the statistic, I had to look very hard for it, there are over 100,000 people that need an organ transplant in the United States. Specifically, it is 103,821 people on the organ transplant list. And of those, just under 60,000 are active waiting list candidates. So people that are on the transplant list but not active are people that maybe aren't healthy enough to withstand surgery at this time, or are maybe in kind of a waiting period with whatever disease they have, or people that just aren't ready. Maybe they need money or support. And to kind of put it into perspective, so if there are just under 60,000 people that are actively waiting for an organ, so far this year, from January to October, there have been 38,760 transplants done in the United States. And in 2022, the total was just under 43,000. In the United States yearly, we are barely at half as many, the people that are eligible for a transplant or need a transplant. We're only doing about half of that in surgeries per year. And of the people that are on the list totally, we're at a small fraction. We're in kind of a crisis in the United States. We have a lot of people that need organs and just not a lot of organs to go around. So one of the main ways to solve this is to increase our organ donors. And typically that's done by, checking the box on your driver's license. This does vary from state to state. Some states do what they call like an opt-in clause, where you have to opt in to be an organ donor. Some states have an opt-out clause where you have to check the box if you don't want to be an organ donor. And statistically, you see a lot of differences in the states that are opt-out versus opt-in, because apparently that action of checking a box is really frustrating to people. So they'll stay on the organ donor list if they don't have to check a box, but they will not get on the organ donor list if they have to check a box. Yeah. The organs that can be transplanted, which is a whole different process.
Sounds like someone's eating them.
Yes. I was gonna go with plating, like magnetic plating or metal plating on a part. So robot organs.
Look, my shtick is horror here. Going with organ eating. Okay.
I mean, it did have the word plate in it. So anyway, the organs that can be transplanted include obviously kidneys, pancreas, heart, lungs, liver, intestines, and then now we know you can also do corneas, skin, tendons, bone, nerves, heart valves. We've seen people get facial transplants and hand transplants, and I only found a very vague mention of it once or twice, but they are working on uterus transplants and ovarian transplant stuff that can help with fertility and things like that. I think all of that is still in the testing phases or really early on. I didn't find a lot of research about it, but I think that's kind of incredible. And obviously a majority of our organ donations come from deceased donors, which is mostly because there are only a few organs that you can donate when you are living. Obviously, you cannot give up your heart. You cannot give up your lungs. They're not going to let you donate your eyeballs. They're not going to let you donate anything that you still need to live. I do want to say 100 times to get through as many people as I can. If you are registered as an organ donor, no doctor or nurse or caregiver is going to let you die so that they can harvest your organs. I mean, now that I've said it out loud, there are probably like 1 or 2 cases a year, and it's probably very crazy stories like her daughter was on the top of the transplant list and she knew he would be a perfect match, so she let this car crash victim die so her daughter could have his liver or something. I don't know. Maybe you could cover that in a future topic. But in general, 99.9% of the time, no one is letting you die because they want your organs. But you should also know that even if you do check the box or don't check the box on your driver's license, if you do sign up as an organ donor, you still need to have the conversation with your family or your next of kin or whoever is going to be making that decision when you pass away, because they will still have the final say on whether or not your organs can be donated.
That strikes me. I'm sorry, I have a mouthful of cheese. That strikes me as
very frustrating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if I've said yes, don't ask my husband.
Right. Or my estranged mother that I haven't seen in 20 years.
Right?
Or my ex-husband that I forgot to update the will. Or my religious whatever that doesn't believe in organ donation.
If I say yes, I mean yes. Like,
yeah.
No. That makes me mad, apparently. I had to stop eating to answer that.
Yeah, same. Agreed. I would come back and haunt them.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody made that decision post-death and changed whatever my plan was, I would come back and haunt them.
Mm-hmm.
And steal whatever organs I could.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be that kind of haunting ghost. There's going to be horror.
About
yeah.
I'd say through more cheese.
It's important. So if you are the family member that is allowing your family member's organs to be donated, you in most cases can opt to donate as much as you can, no matter what kind of reason they have for dying. Even patients that had cancer can still, donate their eyes or parts of their skin or veins or different pieces. So if you want to donate, it doesn't matter what the reason is. At least go through with it and push forward to see what can be done. And know that you can probably still have an open casket funeral if that is what your beliefs want. That should not rule out whether or not you can be an organ donor or you want your family members to be an organ donor. And also know that a lot of times, or most times, the families even receive updates from the organ procurement organization about what the organs and tissues, or who the organs and tissues were used for. So you actually do get to find out not necessarily the exact patient that the parts went to, but how they did and how they're doing. And just receiving those updates, I think, would make the whole process worth it.
Also, I've seen if you want to make yourself weep, go watch some of those videos where, like, someone's son dies and his heart saves another person.
Yeah.
And they send the son's family a bear with his heartbeats.
Yes.
I'm gonna cry just thinking about it. Those are amazing.
There was actually a local story. There was a young woman. She was, I think, just barely 20 years old, and ended up in kidney failure very suddenly and needed a transplant and was not doing well on dialysis, was really struggling and not feeling well. And her family had just put out this huge, like, find her a kidney campaign, and it was all over the news and all over all of our local social media. And I think at the same time, and forgive me if I get some of these details wrong. There was another little boy, I think, that needed a liver or something. And there was an awful car crash. And it ended up being a little boy that passed away. But his kidney was given to the woman who had just had this social media campaign. And I think even with the accident was big news, and his recovery and everything was very publicized as well. So when his donation got to go help this other local community member that people were already invested in, it still gives me goosebumps just knowing that something awful could help someone in such a significant way. And on that note, moving on from there, living donation is obviously an option as well. One of your 2 kidneys can be donated. Many people live long, happy lives with only 1 kidney. Your liver can pretty much regenerate itself, so lobes of your liver can be donated. I have read very sparse accounts of lung donations because there are lobes in your lungs, and you can donate like portions of it or parts of it. I don't think it's very common and probably very risky.
I've never heard of that. That's very interesting.
Yeah. So this also mentions a uterus could be donated by a living donor, which makes sense. Sure, I'm done with mine. Somebody could have it if they wanted it, I guess.
That sounds like a purse or something. I'm going to get a new one.
I don't need it anymore.
I don't think I'm going to carry a purse anymore.
I'm going to give it to someone in need. And the other wording they used was segments of other organs. And I have heard that you can do intestinal transplants now, or fecal transplants that can actually help with people that have Crohn's or IBS to kind of replace those microbes in the intestines and try to get it in a healthier situation. When you are donating, there are a couple different ways that an organ donation can happen with a living donor. There's the easiest and probably most widely known way, which is just finding a donor and a recipient. So if you know someone that wants to give you an organ, it's very easy. People that are looking, for some reason it is put upon them to donate an organ, they can do it anonymously to whoever is most in need. So you might just, if you're on the waiting list, you just get a call someday that there's a kidney available for you because somebody decided they just wanted to give a kidney away. And then this is always the one that gets on TV. I've seen it on Grey's Anatomy and ER and probably in movies. They call it a paired donation. And this happens when you have a donor and a recipient, but they don't match. So the recipient can't donate to the donor can't donate to the recipient. So they find another donor pair that also doesn't match, but they match each other. So donor A donates to recipient B, and donor B donates to recipient A.
Oh,
so it kind of cross donates.
And now you're best friends forever.
Yes. You have to be, right?
Obviously, yeah.
Next on my list was talking about how books and movies always portray this poorly. I already gave my rant about My Sister's Keeper. No doctor is ethically going to let a child donate anything to another child, no matter whose parents are willing to sign off on it. There is no way to ethically make that a good choice. When I went through my kidney donation, I had to not only be tested physically and health-wise, they also did a few psychiatric evaluations and made me talk to a social worker and a donor advocate to make sure that I was donating of my own free will. I wasn't getting paid to donate. I wasn't being forced to donate. I wasn't being bribed to donate. It was something I wanted to do. And I could have said no at any time. And they made sure I knew that if I decided I no longer wanted to donate, they weren't going to go to my recipient and be like, oh, she bailed, man. She's out. They would have come up with, they would have said that it was a medical reason or something came up that made me ineligible to donate. So reading this story of this child who is forced to like get a lawyer to get the doctors and her parents to not make her give up a kidney is ridiculous. It's not an option. It never would be an option. It's the most ridiculous story I've ever heard.
I'm glad of that because that is a story I have heard and it makes you feel furious.
Yeah. And it paints this is why people think that they're going to be left to die if they are an organ donor because somebody down the line needs their organ more. It's atrocious. It just drives me crazy. But anyway, so the risks of being a living donor are pretty standard to just whatever risks go with major surgery. So obviously there is a risk of death because anesthesia and you're cut open and bleeding and all of that. Infection, pain, hernias, pneumonia, blood clots, hemorrhaging. Those are really all just surgical possible risks. As far as long-term health, a lot of studies actually show that living donors tend to be healthier than the general public and live longer lives than the general public. This really is probably a selection bias because if you've already been approved to be a living donor and given up an organ, you were in pretty good shape to begin with.
Sure.
They already confirmed you probably aren't going to have diabetes. Your blood pressure's in good level. Your systems are working fine, your heart's good, your lungs are good. They already know you're healthy.
My brain was like, oh, it's because they're so happy because of what they did.
Yes, that is the other reason that I forgot to say. They just go on to live longer, healthier, happier, positive lives.
Hi, I'm dumb.
I don't think you're dumb. I think you're very optimistic.
Thanks.
Pleasant.
It's almost like I donated an organ.
Almost. Once you're a living donor, you do get extra points on the aforementioned waiting list. And the way this list works, people get really confused on like how you get matched or how it's determined who gets the organ. Basically, there's just this nationwide list of everybody that needs an organ. And when an organ becomes available, each person is given a number or given points based on that particular organ. So it's going to be based on how well you match that organ, where you're at in the country in regards to where that organ is, if there are needier people in front of you, if maybe your health fits better because you don't have diabetes and other people do, or it's a very complex formula. It's not just like, oh, well, she's a woman between the ages of 30 and 40 and she has this, so she gets 7 points. It's a very complex, they're trying to get each organ to the very best match, the very best person that it can go to. And part of that, if you are a living donor, you will get extra points when you're on this list. So if an organ becomes available and you're, the second next person in line, but the first person never donated an organ, then maybe it'll go to you because you should at least get some sort of benefit.
Right, there should be a perk.
Because to be honest, otherwise there aren't a lot of benefits. There's the happiness benefit. There's,
you get high.
Yeah, you get the helper's high. You get to know that you, not necessarily, I wouldn't say that I saved my recipient's life. He was on dialysis. Actually, my kidney failed 7 years in, so he ended up back on dialysis and received a second transplant. But he wasn't living well with that. Dialysis works. It keeps people alive. It doesn't give them a quality of life. So I will say that I got to change someone's life, and that was an incredible experience and something that nobody can ever take from me. So I don't have that hero complex yet.
You should.
And other benefits, when it comes to organ donation, the recipient's insurance is supposed to pay for everything, so there shouldn't be a lot of out-of-pocket costs. There are grants available for donors for travel or to make up for lost wages or whatever might come out of it, because typically you are off work 8 to 12 weeks or
Sure.
6 to 12 weeks after any type of organ donation. It can cost money or, be kind of a financial burden on people. So there is always legislation going on to try to make it easier to be an organ donor or make it more positive to be an organ donor, but they also don't want to influence people in a way that would make people put themselves at risk to get the benefits. So they're not suddenly going to start paying people $10,000 for a kidney because people that are desperate and need $10,000 would do whatever they could to give up a kidney, even
or start taking other people's kidneys.
or their black
Charlie
market
the
kidneys, or they're faking results or getting somebody else to take their tests for them, and then they're putting themselves at risk. It would just be awful. So I don't know what the answer is. We obviously have an issue. We have a very big difference between the number of organs that are available every year and the number of people that need these organs. I think the answer is probably some balance of, opt-in situations where everybody's an organ donor until they say they don't want to be, maybe lessening the requirements of the next of kin having to sign off, or helping with those conversations so the next of kin knows what the right answer should be. Plus, just education on helping people get healthier, because if we had less diabetes, we'd have less need for kidney transplants, because diabetes is like the leading cause of kidney failure.
I'm telling you, that makes me so mad with the donor permissions. Oh,
yes.
If I said yes, just do it.
So, in case anybody is ever concerned or ever needs to be clarified on what Jessica's decision is.
Just ask me, not my husband, not Bree.
Your mom, Carly.
Take out my organs. I don't need them anymore.
Take them. Give them to someone who needs them.
Gah.
So, yeah, if you are not yet signed up to be an organ donor, you can sign up when you renew your license, or you can go to registerme.org, and you should know, just for a little bit of dopamine, that you can save up to 8 lives with your organs if you donate upon your death. You can restore vision to 2 people with your corneas, and you can heal up to 75 people with the tissues that you donate. So sign your license, get registered, have the conversation with your people and your doctors, and if you have thoughts of being a living donor, it's a very personal decision, and I encourage anyone to really think that through. But if that does seem like a path you're being called to, find a living donor mentor. You can reach out to me. I can put you in touch with people that have donated livers or kidneys or whatever, and just get all the facts.
I love it. I don't love some of it, but I love it. Who knew that this is going to make me enraged?
Jessica is going to single-handedly change the whole system now. I just got her so fired up. She's going to go out and become a lobbyist and change our entire healthcare system in the United States.
Or I'm just going to move to Canada.
I mean,
New Zealand.
Yeah, I don't think Canada's healthcare is any better right now. We're probably better off in New Zealand. Zach says there's scary spiders there, but I would put up with scary spiders.
Look, that's the only thing that's in New Zealand besides Lord of the Rings fans and Viva La Dirt League. And probably a few other things, but Viva's the most important. And they have beaches, and if you're in the right area, it doesn't snow at Christmas time. Actually, no, it never snows at Christmas time because it's summer there.
Right.
I meant really winter, but anyway.
I'm in. Let's go.
Awesome. All right, so the next Dungeons and Dopamine... the snake's back. The next Dungeons and Dopamine will be coming at you from New Zealand.
Because it's only going to take us a week to pack everything up.
Absolutely.
And get our visas and get on our way.
I don't like how judgmental you sound right now.
You're really putting a damper on my optimism.
Exactly. All right.
So this was episode 27 of the Dungeons and Dopamine podcast.
You can listen to us anywhere you stream podcasts and or on YouTube.
You can support us on Patreon at www.patreon.com/dungeonsdopamine.
You can find us on Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, Insta, and Reddit.
And you can reach out to us on any of those social medias or by emailing us at dungeonsdopamine@yahoo.com.
Dungeons and Dopamine is edited and published by Argyle Pigeon Productions.
So, thanks.
We love you.
Okay, bye.
Bye.